Someone somewhere might be asking themselves this question. You are saying that I have to communicate everything and anything that ever happened to me or that I ever did, ever said, but my life is so much. Where do I even start? Do I even stand and then start to speak my 20-year past, my 30-year past? Of course, no. You can give the most important things as we'll be addressing them in this week and also the following week. And also as God will guide you mostly. But the most principle will be open to share as much as you be asked. But the principle remains, volunteer to give information. You who is asking, learn the polite language to ask. If you ask and your sponsor says it feels rude, ask them with genuineness. I apologize that that's how you felt. That's not what I meant. But how would you like me to ask this question next time? It doesn't mean that they always know how to ask, because to them it might be new to be known. Because in their past, everything when they grew up, they were told, you don't say this, you don't say this, you don't say so. Individualism has eaten up without even knowing that it's consuming us to end up having bad marriages. So now that person has been asked and then he or she doesn't have the right answer to that question. Go and read books, go and hear podcasts, and come back as quick as possible. Because the next day, you might be asked another question. I'm not saying that to do things on pressure, but do them on effectiveness. So what you should do today, don't postpone it tomorrow just because this person is here forever. Yes, they are here forever, but they are here forever to enjoy, not to endure and not to wait for things that you have capacity to do today, but which you want to do tomorrow. Now, others, they might say, you are saying that we should speak everything about our life. How about I don't have the right vocabularies to articulate? That is, how about if I feel uncomfortable? How about if I feel scared? How about if I still say feeling shameful of what I did? How about if I'm still hurting? The answer, it can be go fast and heal. But if your spouse is there, start to heal with them. But the most appropriate answer, so that you don't them feel not appreciated for the question they have asked or the fact that they care. Your husband or your wife, when they ask you things about you, it's because they care. It's because they mind. First of all, appreciate that regardless of how you feel. If you don't want to have chaos in your marriage, if you don't want to teach their subconscious not to ever dare you, if you do not want to teach their subconscious to refrain from asking you the question that cares, you have also you to learn how to appreciate the question regardless of how sensitive it is. If they asked it in the way that it feels insensitive to you, I'm saying this because most of them as spouses are not insensitive. They are not meant to hurt us, though they might end up hurting us. So, and because we are most of the time wounded, and we come with those wounds in our marriages. So that's why it is in our relationships. That's why it's very important to say, I feel. Don't say you've made, say I feel. Because even outside, if you go to a counselor, they might tell you that was the only way to ask that. Instead, now if you feel hurt, teach him or her how to ask better next time. One thing you should avoid lying. If they ask you, have you ever done this? Or tell me about this. Don't say, I have never. When you know you have. Because these things, as you always say, they pop up. And the embarrassment will be much than had you just come clean earlier. If you feel so embarrassed and ashamed to talk about it, say something like this. I know you want to know me more, and I know you want to know me more because you care. And I know this is a primary knowledge you ought to know. But the environment we are in, it is not suitable. Can you go and meet at church? Can you go and meet maybe in a park where there are no people, but also at the same time that is public? And then, if you are married, can we wait the children to go to sleep? Because environment also matters based on what kind of conversation or how touchy or sensitive the topic is. Or if you feel you can't talk about it completely, you can use the words like this. I have always asked myself how ever share this with my husband or my wife. And now since you are here, still I haven't gotten the answer. But this is what I promise you. Tomorrow I'm going to see a counselor. And I'm going to say this to her or to him. And I'll ask them the proper way that I can share this with you. Are you okay with that? Now, the other person who had asked, you ought to give grace. But also you who is being given grace, please don't go and sleep. Yes, it's part of marriage. Yeah, there are things that you've buried under the rug. But there is a time that comes and you have to address those things. I get it, of course. Time is needed at some point. But the time alone cannot solve anything. Like if I ask you, let's say, for example, something and you say, you are not free to talk about it. If you go and just sleep, forever you will never be okay to talk about it. So you automatically have to go and look for a material. Let's suppose it can be about bad habits about in finance. It can be about rape. It can be about the exes. It can be about your parents. Go and read a book that will help you to how to articulate without necessarily blaming them or you, but building marriage. It is very important. You know, for all the past week and last week, but one maybe, we've been talking about these things and they seem so tiny. They even seem useless at a certain point. But also their effectiveness is felt and is undeniable in a marriage setup. It's so sad that by the time we get in marriage, we are so wounded. Yet we had all the money and all the counselors around us. But even me, it's so sad that now you punish the other spouse to ask you about yourself. Or it's so sad that you marry a spouse who doesn't care about knowing you. They're just there. That wound is so severely, but gradually. You don't feel the pain immediately. The pain comes in grades. One day, marriage that looked so beautiful starts to crash. Within 1 year, people are nowhere to be seen. And then you wonder, what is going on? It's very important to say how you feel about what you wanted to address. But to make it even more easier, I wish if there are some areas that you don't know how to communicate, if you can volunteer them. You automatically say, I know we are about to get married, or I know we are in marriage, and we ought to update each other about our finance habits. But in my past, I have had some habits that I'm not proud of, and I don't know how to share them with you without feeling embarrassed, or that embarrassment without controlling it to break me into tears or into chaos. But if you can allow me, there is this material I have been reading, and I think it will help me to share with you about it. Would you give me 1 week? Let me tell you, it will be easier for them to wait. But make sure you keep your word. Don't just say no today. Come on, what is no today? No today is every day. Don't just say that I don't feel to share about it today. No. Sometimes when you say these things, people think it is pressure. No, it is not pressure. You have to be realistic. I'm marrying you, or you are marrying me, or you are marrying someone else. It is important that you articulate. There are some basic things, regardless of how you speak them, whether you are crying, whether you are speaking them, whether you are yelling, it's okay. But you have to speak about them. You can talk about screaming, yes. Go in the upper room, scream, but communicate. When I say scream, it is not exchanging and insulting each other, no. The pain will be too much and your voice might come out in tears and yelling and in mucus and all of those things and sighing and sneezing and all of those stuff. It's okay, do that. But make sure the message is passed and is understood. But also not forgetting, there are things that are spoken on gradually. There are things that you cannot just sit down and speak in a row and then they are done. Slow by slow. So avoid to make everything to go slow by slow, but also avoid to make everything to go in a row. That is not marriage. So the Holy Spirit will give you the wisdom to go around it. Or if you have a specific question in regard to that, now you can ask someone else that you trust, or me, or any other person, and then we can be able to offer the help. But please, don't say no, that never happened, or no, that when you know that something happened in your life. Or don't choose to hide it because you don't feel comfortable to talk about it. Or don't use attitude, mostly on women. That's what they do. Is there not any other thing you can talk about? You every day, that is all you ask. When you do that, someone who cares for you, then you are going to teach them to never ask anything. It might take them years to stop to care. But if you train them regularly, time will come where they will stop. And restarting that person, it will cost you more than you ever thought it can cost. That's why marriages today, we see them very sleepy. They are walking like an old lion. And yet they have just been married 5 years, 10 years ago. Just the other day. But already they are tired of each other. Already they are happy to be outside. I believe part of why most men and women, they are more career-oriented. I agree. The public has trained them to be like that. They were taught mathematics before they are taught marriage. They were taught about career before they were taught that they are wives and husbands. I agree. They were taught from their age that you will be a military, you will be a doctor. But they were never told you will be a wife, you will be a mom, you will be a mother, you will be a father. They were never. I understand. But even those who know that they are, because of how the environment at home is cultivatable, or the other person is indifferent, or even them themselves, they're indifferent, they choose to go outside to work. At least there they will get people to laugh with and to have fun with. Even if it is not as fulfilling as in a marriage, but at least. But for me, if you ask me, I'll tell you, please stay home and fight for your marriage until it works. But not forgetting, marriage is two people. Regardless, yes, one person putting in every effort, I appreciate and God appreciates. But on the one side, it cannot work. But also remember, you might be more strong in marriage and all of those stuff, and you have a lot of knowledge. And your spouse might just be running the other day. So have the understanding. Don't be rude. Don't stop electricity and water supply in that home just because the other spouse is not as quick or as active as you. And also you, when now they are patient with you, don't go and sleep. Get to understand that this person is carrying the burden of the marriage and you are there to help them. So now, try to run from them. Tell them, how did you become to get this knowledge? How did you know? How are you free to share, to express yourself? Not forgetting that also the children are going to learn to every one of you. So it is good that you are at the same pace so that the children, they have one rhythm. So that the children doesn't come, me, I would be like mom. Me, I'll be like dad. Simply because your standards are lower. Thank you so much. We are going to continue next week. Now talking about what should we address when we are talking. What is dating, in fact? Do we date to know the one? Or do we date the one that is already the one? And as a result, that's why we say never stop dating your spouse even after marriage. We are going to see the consequences of dating, of data gathering information when you are not sure whether you will live with this person or not. We are going to see how it affects your communication and how it weakens your communication capacity and effectiveness. Even when now you get to marry someone who is the one. How they get to pay for that. Because of information you shared and someone took you for granted and you told your mind never share as much as you did today. You told your wife almost 15 men or 15 women. Some of them, they used it and took advantage of your money, took advantage of your body, took advantage of your dignity, took advantage of your weakness, of your strength. So as a result, your subconscious automatically, it learns not how to communicate because it always senses a danger. You understand? We'll be looking at those things next week. So thank you so much. Continue to have an amazing weekend.